Welcome to Dreamfall Stories. Take a moment to find a comfortable position, whether you're in bed, on your couch, or anywhere else that feels just right. There's no need to adjust anything right now. Just let yourself be exactly where you are. Feel your body beginning to sink into the surface beneath you. Notice how your shoulders can soften with each breath. How your arms and legs can become a little heavier. As you listen to my voice, you might notice your eyelids becoming heavier too. That's perfectly natural. Tonight's story will carry you to a peaceful place where your mind can drift and your thoughts can become quiet, like stars appearing in an evening sky. You don't need to do anything at all. Just listen and let each word gently guide you toward rest. And now, as we begin our journey together, take one more deep, comfortable breath. The Enchanted Forest Library. Somewhere beyond the edges of ordinary maps, where moonlight spills like liquid silver through the trees, there lies an enchanted forest known as elder moss. Its ancient oaks stand sentinel, their bark etched with stories older than time, and its streams hum lullabies as they wind through beds of moss. But the forest's truest secret is hidden deep within its heart, a library without walls, where books grow like blossoms on branches and tales are whispered by the wind. On nights when rain falls in hushed cadence, the library awakens. Its pages flutter like moth wings, glowing with soft bioluminescent ink, and the air thrums with the murmur of 1,000 stories waiting to be heard. Few have ever found it, for the path reveals itself only to those who carry a quiet mind and a longing to be still. One such seeker was a girl named Lila, whose restless heart had always ached for mysteries. She lived in a village nestled at the forest's edge, where elders spoke of the library in riddles. Follow the ferns that bow to the rain, and listen for the tales that bloom in the dark. Tonight, as thunder rumbled softly in the distance and rain began its rhythmic dance on her windowsill, Lila felt the pull of the unknown. She slipped into her coat, pocketed a tiny brass lantern, and stepped into the storm. The forest greeted her with a symphony of droplets, plinking on leaves, drumming on stones, merging into rivulets that sang as they raced toward secret pools. Lila's lantern cast trembling gold light over roots that curled like sleeping serpents and ferns that glistened with rain diamond crowns. She walked slowly, matching her breath to the rain's tempo, until she noticed the ferns ahead, bending not from the wind, but in a deliberate curtsy, their fronds pointing her deeper into the dark. As she followed, the air grew thick with the scent of petrichor and aged parchment. Shadows stretched and swayed, morphing into shapes that might have been wolves or wisps, but Lila felt no fear. The rain's steady murmur seemed to weave a cloak of calm around her, and soon she saw them. Trees whose branches bore not leaves, but books. Some were bound in velvety moss, others in bark etched with runes, their pages fluttering like captive doves. A soft voice, like wind through a keyhole, brushed her ear. Every story is a key. Which lock does your soul seek to open? Lila turned to find an owl perched on a birch, its feathers dappled with constellations. One eye gleamed amber, the other moonstone white. "What's thou? I don't know," she admitted. "I only—" When Lila awoke, the storm had gentled to a drizzle, each droplet ringing softly against the library's glass chimes. The owl was gone, but in its place stood a woman woven from willow branches, her hair a cascade of ivy, her eyes the deep green of forest shadows. She smiled, and the air warmed with the scent of blooming jasmine. "I am the keeper," she said, her voice the creak of ancient wood and the sigh of turning pages. "Come, child. The stories have waited long for a listener." She led Lila up the tree's spiral staircase, where books floated like dandelion seeds. Each step hummed beneath her feet, as though the tree itself were breathing. On the first floor, stories of twilight pooled in inkwells. On the second, tales of forgotten constellations glimmered in crystal jars. But it was the third floor that halted Lila's breath. A dome of living branches arched overhead, rain filtering through leaves to land as liquid starlight on open books below. The keeper plucked a droplet from the air and let it fall onto a waiting page. Instantly, words unfurled. Once, a river grew tired of carving valleys. It wished to rest, to become a mirror for the sky. As Lila read aloud, the room filled with the sound of water lapping at banks, of pebbles settling into silt. She felt the river's exhaustion, its longing for stillness, and then its joy as it pooled into a lake, discovering that quiet could hold as much wonder as motion. "Why do these stories feel so alive?" Lila whispered. The keeper brushed a fingertip over a book's spine, where new words bloomed like lichen. "Every story is a heartbeat. To read them is to let them live again." As dusk painted the forest indigo, the keeper led Lila to a book bound in acorn leather. Inside, the story Lila had begun the previous night waited, its words glowing faintly. "Once, there was a seed that feared the dark," she read, and the library dissolved once more. This time, Lila was the seed, buried in cold, silent earth. She felt the terror of endless night, the ache of loneliness, until a whisper seeped through the soil. Roots grow deeper in darkness. Slowly she let go. She split her shell, reached tendrils into the void, and discovered a secret. The dark was not empty. It thrummed with the memories of ancient forests, with the promise of rain. Years passed, or moments, and then, light. She burst into a sapling, then a tree, her branches embracing the same storms she once feared. When Lila returned to herself, tears glimmered on her cheeks. Keeper nodded. "You see, even fear can become a forest." Night deepened, and the keeper pressed a maple key into Lila's palm. "Stories are seeds. Plant this where your heart feels restless. And remember, the path home was sun-dappled and still. The rain now, a distant song." Lila's village awaited, unchanged, but she was not. That night, as she tucked the seed into a pot by her window, the first tendril emerged, its leaves whispering tales only she could hear. Years later, villagers would speak of Lila's strange, beautiful garden, where plants grew in spirals and blossoms hummed lullabies. But Lila knew the truth. The enchanted library never left. It lived in the rhythm of roots drinking rain, in the pause between heartbeats, in the quiet courage of growing toward the light. And on stormy nights, when rain tapped at windows, children would gather as Lila whispered the keeper's stories. Their eyelids grew heavy, their breath slow as drifting clouds, and somewhere beyond the edge of dreams, the owl's voice mingled with theirs. Sleep, little seeds, the forest is holding you.